Hello and welcome to Creating a Human Rights Culture, which aims to promote a lived awareness of the interdependency and indivisibility of human rights principles in our minds, hearts, and bodies, that is, dragged into our everyday lives. What, after all, is freedom of speech to a person who is homeless and lives in a world at war? Therefore, it is dedicated ultimately to the application of the Human Rights Triptych, which in brief consists of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights at its center, the conventions, that is, international treaties on the right, and implementation measures on the left. Hello, I'm Joseph Ronca, and welcome to another episode of Creating a Human Rights Culture. From the Latin word cultura, meaning tilling, such as the tilling of the soil to create flowers, edible crops, good things like that, human rights can provide a fertile ground and a shared understanding to create a socially just world. Today, we're going to look at children's art from our own town of Amherst, which you would perhaps like to know, are on display at the Jones Library for this entire month of December. The art is meant to bring awareness of articles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, endorsed by the United Nations General Assembly without dissent on December 10, 1948. Now, in viewing the art of our esteemed artists, we will talk about their art. Let us also keep in mind that according to the rights of the child, which is a progeny of the Universal Declaration, and a document which the United States is the only government in the world that has not ratified, shame, 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 shame on you, states that governments shall encourage the provision of appropriate and equal opportunities for cultural, artistic, recreational, and leisure activities, and that education ought to promote a spirit of understanding, peace, tolerance, equality of genders, and friendship among all peoples. So here we are doing just that. Before I get into the voices of the children, I first want to thank Martha Spiegelman, who's the group coordinator of the Western Massachusetts of Amnesty International, who initiated this, and also to teachers at the middle school, Irene LaRoche, okay, Francais, it's French, okay, and Jennifer Jensen, okay, who basically went with the ball and implemented this whole thing. And thank you for organizing this and doing such a great job. So I want you to say a few words, and then we'll get to the stars of our show.
4 years ago, Martha Spiegelman got in touch with our school, Amherst Middle School, and she asked if we would like to have students take part in the celebration of the International Day of Human Rights and create some art around the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I asked my students, and they were really honored to think that someone outside of the school cared what they thought. And we started learning about this document. It's wonderful to use art as a way to understand something kind of abstract. Primary source language is hard for middle school, but they're able to do that through their art projects. So it was really special that first year, took off. Other teachers saw what was happening in the department. They were maybe talking about human rights in their own classroom. We were looking at the issues affecting Syria, and they said, hey, I would like to be a part. So the second year it grew, and we had 2 teachers at that point. Each year it's grown, and the department has decided that human rights really does connect to everything we are teaching. Over the years, the program has grown at the school, and this past November, I presented our work at the National Council for Solstay's annual conference in San Francisco, which is attended by about 4,000 Solstay's teachers. We made partnerships with some teachers out there who attended my workshop, and there's teachers from California and from New Orleans who are interested in having their students take part and share their art. We're going to look at a cross-country understanding of human rights.
So you're spreading the word. Sounds
Yes.
good to me. Jennifer?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to mention the first time I really started thinking about human rights, it was 1984, and I was at a U2 concert, and Amnesty International happened to have a table there, and I signed up, and I started writing letters So my students and I were working on the Right for Rights campaign right now and thinking about political prisoners and others that really need our support. And the students are really engaged. I mean, this is something they really deeply believe in, and they want to be able to make change, not only in their own classrooms, but also in their communities and around the world. So I think we're just so proud of them and the way they articulate their thinking and really deeply believing that I need to know my rights so that my rights aren't violated, but also really thinking about the rights of others. So we also just want to mention our colleague Kate Burke, who's
Okay.
also a teacher, a 7th grade teacher at the middle school, and she couldn't be here today.
And the arts integration teachers, Kristen Ripley and Elena Betke-Brunswick, as well as our principal, Dr. Patty Bodie, who've all been very supportive of this work.
Okay, thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
mentioning them, and thanks for your words. We'll now go on with the show with our stars, the children artists. So here I am with 2 child artists, and I want them to introduce themselves to our audience and then talk about their art.
My name is Aniket Martins, and I was researching and mosaic making for Article 26, which is the right to an education. I learned that education's really important, obviously, but it's more so for just everyone, you know, those who need, those who don't have an education right now. And and I also learned that it should be free. Primary education should be free. We in the human rights unit, we learned that human rights are really just the rights for being human. It's nothing more complicated than that. And that they're important to know so that we can speak up against human rights violations and know our rights ourselves so that we are more aware. It was interesting to research and make a mosaic for Article 26 because it's something that you really want to represent well, you know, being in education. It's quite important. And I chose to represent it with pencils and a book, which I feel are just at the base of an education. You know, books have information and pencils are used to write. So I drew a little picture of some pencils and a young child reading a book.
We'll go on.
Hello, my name is Cristian Fidel, and I did my art piece to represent Article 27, that is about copyright and the freedom to participate in the culture and art. And I learned a lot about copyright, and I learned that in some way it's a problem that we may never really be able to fix, and we may not really be able to rid of it, but if we try, we can definitely make it smaller, because there's between art pieces, like pictures, games, photos, like websites or books, anything, between all of that, there's way too much that there's gonna be something we overlook. My art piece in particular was about, I just did the copyright symbol, which is the base of copyright. And to go along with that, though, I thought that was kind of bland on its own, and I tried to use a lot of different colors. And I used those colors because copyright is also somewhat diverse. Like, people can do it in different ways, it's shown in different ways, it's dealt with in different ways, and there's different things you can copyright with. And it's just a problem that I think can be extremely smaller, but there is very little, like, I hear very little attest to it. I'm not very aware of much of, like, anyone trying to go against it that much. And I think that it's something that can be easily much smaller, but we simply don't really take as much care to it as we do other major things that we try to deal with in the world.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you bringing attention to the notion of copyright. You have to give credit. Authors have to get credit for what they do, and copyright's important.
Yeah.
So thank you.
My name's Cameron Grayley, and my article was Article 21, which is everyone has the right to take part in their government. And to represent democracy, I put in the Democrat donkey and the Republican elephant. to show the difference between parties, but I also showed the union between them. The elephant is offering the donkey an olive branch to show peace. So it's kind of just a union of the two major parts of our government to show that everybody can take part in our government. And I think that this was a very interesting project because it raises our awareness about human rights. I mean, I didn't even know about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights before this project, but I've discovered it's a very important document, and it was a very interesting project, and I think that I learned a lot from it, and I think it just was a very fun project. I really enjoyed making these mosaics, and it just was very interesting to get to know the Universal Declaration of Human Rights through all the different articles, and there's a very diverse range of different art that I've seen in our class. Like, for example, for immigration, there's a bunch of people traveling around the world I've seen in my class, and I think that I especially agree with my article because there's especially like democracy was invented by the Romans, and it's been the world has tried a bunch of different types of government, but the right for everybody to take part in their own government is really very representational, and I think it's a very important article, and I enjoyed working on this article, and I think it's a very, very important article, and it's a very interesting project, and I enjoyed doing it.
Thank you. I can't wait to see it actually at the Jones Library.
Yeah.
Okay, so go on, Rwan.
Hi, my name is Rwan, and I had to do Article 15, and it is the right to nationality, which basically means that everyone has the right to belong to a country. In my art, I did like the number 206 to represent all countries, official and unofficial. And like I also had a border around it to show that everyone belongs in those countries and nowhere else. And they can change within the 206 countries, and they have the right to do that too, but they can't get out, basically.
Okay. The right to nationality is very, very important. And thank you for bringing awareness to that. Did you want to say anything else about that? No? All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to say that Eleanor Roosevelt, who was an American, and she was the chairperson of the drafting committee for that document, she, after it came out, she lamented the fact that school kids didn't even know about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So you guys are bringing awareness of this document. In Europe, I will say people know about it a lot more than here, but you're bringing awareness about it. And thank you very much.
My name is Mackenzie, and I was given the Article 3, the right to life. This right means that everyone has the right to live in freedom and in peace. And so for my art, I decided to make a dove holding a plant in its mouth, probably an olive tree branch, which symbolizes peace and freedom. And above its wings, I had the yin yang symbol, which usually means friendship and equality. And I think this would represent my article very well, since it's talking about how everyone should live in peace and harmony.
Thank you. Sounds good to me. Thanks for sharing.
My name is Marie, and I chose Article 10, which means everybody has the right to a fair and just trial. So what I did to represent it is I made a scale, but instead of making it out of a color, I chose to make it out of people's faces to represent that all of those people should be equal and have the same rights.
Yeah, very important right. Well, all your rights are important. People should be given every guarantee necessary for their defense. Thank you. Is there anything else?
we both think that it's important to learn this in school so that you can know about your rights and know when people's rights are being violated so that we can do stuff to stop it.
And also, if your rights are being violated, you can know that it's a problem and, like her right was get a court to decide and be able to stand up for your rights.
Right. So it's important to know what our rights are, but also to stand up for them and defend them and help other people to claim their rights if they are violated. Okay. Thanks for sharing.
My name is Jasmine, and I chose Article 16. It talks about how men and women can marry and they have the right to marry. I represented this on my mosaic by drawing two rings, which represents marriage, and a heart above it, which represents love. I think it's important for kids to learn this at a young age so they know how to help other people around the world.
Sounds good to me. And it's right to marry, and I believe and found a family. So it's an important right, and thanks for bringing awareness to people about it. Okay? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kaitlyn, and the article I chose is Article 13. And what that article is about is the freedom of movement to live wherever you want within your border or your state. And on my mosaic, I put an airplane and clouds to show that you're traveling and moving wherever you want. And why I think it's important to learn this at such a young age is so you know how to defend yourself or to defend other people when they're trying to speak their mind.
These are very important rights, and thanks for telling us about it.
Hi, my name is Grace. My article I was assigned to is article number 22. In this article, it says that everybody is a member of society and has the right to Social Security through national effort. The main ideas of equal rights you should have are such as housing, medicine, and childcare. If you can't support yourself, you should have the right to be supported. In my mosaic, I chose to represent the earth because everybody has to follow the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And around the earth, I put little symbols of housing and medicine and enough money to live throughout your life if you cannot support yourself.
And to live with dignity.
Yes.
Right. Okay, not just sort of exist or something.
Yeah.
To raise your family, to have good shelter. Next.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and my article that I was assigned to is article number 13. And my interpretation of this article is that everyone is able to go where they want to go throughout their own country, but also throughout the world, but they also should have the right to return. And how I represented this article is that I had a world on my mosaic, and then I had a little orange square that represented a person, and the little orange square went throughout the USA, but then it also went around in different countries and continents, and then at the end it returned to its starting point to represent that person could go anywhere they wanted, and they had the right to return.
Okay, this is our last diad of children artists, highly esteemed children artists. So we have here on my left.
Kevin Fontanez.
Okay, and say a few words about your art. We'll get to you next, all right?
My art is supposed to represent the Article 29, which states in it that no matter where you go on the earth, that your rights are always going to be with you and no one can take them away. So I do an earth didn't draw. I made an earth in the middle, a sun on the top, and a heart on the bottom. And from the sun, stars are falling from it, which represents where your rights travel with you, and the heart represents your rights.
Sounds good to me. Thank you. Now, we were talking before, you also have a YouTube channel?
Yes.
And you said random things?
Yeah.
But eventually you want to do some more films or whatever and then donate to charities? Well, why don't you just give the audience the name of your channel if they're interested.
It's spelled SADOW, and it has like a green circle and a diamond in the middle. And I just do random videos to, once I get money, just give them to charity and people who need them.
All right.
Hi, my name is Charlie Cham, and my artist statement is Article 11, which is everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Now, what I thought, just a little bit of thought on that, was that everyone has equal rights to do anything that they need until evidence proves them guilty of a crime. And my mosaic was a judge banging his gavel onto I guess his little top stand, proving a verdict guilty. And I just thought it was a little something that I could add.
Okay. Well, let's hope the judge has listened to both sides of the issue.
Yeah.
And eventually came up with a verdict, and then she or he was guilty, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. And I'd also like to thank all of our esteemed child artists and also the adults that made this program possible. And I want to thank Amnesty International chapter for helping to initiate this, and also for their great, fantastic, wonderful celebration of the signing, actually the endorsement of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on December 10th, 1948, at our celebration on December 10th, Sunday, when we heard the wisdom of Representative Jim McGovern, a Democrat from Western Massachusetts who has his offices in Northampton and is co-chair of the very effective, I would say, Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission, which on its logo has the noticeable words of that milestone in the long and difficult struggle of the human race, as well St. John Paul II mentioned, which was the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Hope to see you again. Take care of yourself and take care of others.